Welcome to NISD, Target ELL, Focus Strategies Training. Our objectives for this training will be: we will learn how to better support our ELLs by viewing examples of strategies and accommodations that can be incorporated with our English Language Proficiency Standards, otherwise known as ELPS, instruction in all content areas.
Our language objective today is to discuss accommodated classroom activities to assist English language learners, or ELLs, in mastering targeted levels of language proficiency.
In this training, we will focus on the areas of academic support and language support. Academic support includes teaching academic vocabulary, as well as developing reading and writing skills across all content areas.
The second area of focus is language support. In addition to content, all teachers are required to support the language development of ELL students. This is accomplished by developing language objectives that provide ELL students with ample opportunities to listen to and speak using content-specific academic vocabulary.
We will begin with academic vocabulary, as it is a foundational piece that all students need, especially our ELL students. This example is from an Algebra 1 class. The teacher provided the template to students prior to the unit. At times, words like elapse were included, as they were not content words but may be seen frequently throughout the unit. The student would fill in the translation, related words, and possibly pictures or visuals to practice the new vocabulary.
Do provide visual aids with key academic vocabulary and concrete examples to assist students to talk, read, and write about the content.
The second area of academic support is developing reading skills in all contents. No matter the subject, provide simplified or adapted text when possible.
Identify vocabulary words that you think might be difficult for the student to understand and provide an ELL-friendly definition for each, such as in this example.
Another method to use when supporting reading is the use of simplified language of test questions using the highlight and strikeout tools, or rewriting a simplified version of a test question. This is a biology example. It shows how the teacher used the strike-through feature to eliminate extra words. The keywords in the question and answer were highlighted to simplify the amount of text read by the student.
Take a look at this math example. This is an example of how too much information can get in the way of the student's ability to demonstrate his or her knowledge of the content. Simplify vocabulary according to the student's language proficiency level. Remember that accommodations are meant to be taken away as the student's language proficiency advances. Use anchor charts with simple text and visual support. This teacher-created chart is an excellent example of using visual cues to teach students reading strategies. It uses simple phrases and concrete examples for the abstract concepts, deep and shallow.
The next area of academic support is writing in all contents. Glossaries and word banks support academic writing. They can be teacher-created, like this example, that uses emotion words as well as content vocabulary, or they can be student-created, such as this example, that was created with a partner during a pre-writing activity. His idea of being nervous in his pre-writing was extended into his essay when he said, I was shaking like maracas.
Provide frameworks or structures such as this when writing in any content. Writing is the last domain to develop when learning a new language. Therefore, scaffolds are critical to the success of ELLs. Consider chunking writing tasks into manageable sections based on the student's language proficiency level.
Also use frameworks in pre-writing activities as you embed writing within the content areas to aid ELLs with the task of writing. The following is an example from a DBQ assignment. First, let's look at the pre-writing. The teacher provided stems or frames within the overall DBQ framework of a 4-paragraph essay. You can read the student essay to see how she used her stems to form sentences and then paragraphs.
Sentence starters are also helpful on open response exams and assessments. They provide students with proper writing structures in order to learn how to write about the content.
To support the improvement in academic writing, students first need to acquire the basics, like good note-taking. You can support this skill by providing copies of notes, using Join Me on the tablet or netbook, or try using closed notes. Closed notes provide an excellent scaffold for good note-taking. This biology teacher used color coding to ensure students knew exactly what information was most important and needed in order to complete the notes. Visuals on the notes pages also help ELLs comprehend content.
This is an example provided by a 4th grade teacher. She says, "This is a great resource I use with my ELL student. The use of icons, like an app, helps him retain the concept. He's creating strong sentences with these 3 icons. We also have a class chart to link it to, a great visual reminder and tool."
Moving on to our second area of focus, language support. Language support begins with language objectives. We know what our content objectives are. Those are the objectives that align to the TEKS, or student expectations, for the subject area. However, language objectives go beyond that. This is how students use language objectives to demonstrate language proficiency through the content objectives. An example of a content objective looks like this. Students will be able to use manipulatives to explain the Pythagorean theorem. An example of a language objective that matches that content objective is students will be able to use vocabulary terms, Pythagorean theorem, model, and demonstrates while giving an oral explanation of the Pythagorean theorem. One way to incorporate language objectives is through goal setting. Teachers can include language goals when goal setting or conferencing with students. While this example only focuses on writing, language goals should be included for reading, speaking, and listening when setting goals.
This is an example of how to provide listening support. Provide visuals and gestures during instruction. This chart is from a 2nd grade classroom. A beginner ELL student pointed it out and proceeded to explain to me in Spanish, using motions learned in class, how a good mathematician is supposed to listen and work to solve math problems successfully.
Continuing with the second area of language support, listening support. During instruction, the teacher is key to supporting a student's listening development. Try these tips. Avoid idioms and slang. When waiting for student response, allow extra time for processing. Use visuals and gestures to illustrate academic concepts. Provide a written copy of notes and/or discussion questions.
Now, let's talk about speaking support. Students benefit from visual reminders, repetition, and opportunities to practice before responding to academic questions. The use of past tense is particularly challenging for most ELLs.
You can also support speaking by posting reminders or sentence frames around the room and encourage all students in your class to use them to speak in complete sentences.
Sentence frames work as communication guides for ELLs to learn what to say and how to respond.
To review what we have learned, teachers are responsible for teaching language through content. ELL students must use the input features of language, reading, and listening in order to be able to evaluate, analyze, and synthesize the content. Likewise, ELL students must use the output features of language, speaking, and writing in order to connect, inquire, and express content. ELL students will be evaluated annually through TELPAS to determine their language proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Therefore, the ELPS and TELPAS are linked, much like the TEKS are linked to STAR. So how will I know if I am appropriately accommodating for my ELL students? A comparison of safety nets and linguistic accommodations will show that safety nets are designed for all students. These include extra time, opportunities to redo assignments or tests with failing grades, tutorials, and parent communication. Whereas linguistic accommodations are for English language learners. These include simplified text, alternate assignments, oral administration, clarification of English, translation to first language, and extra time on STAR assessments.
This document will assist campus administrators in identifying strategies and in working with you on your instructional goals. As you can see, this document aligns with the information presented to you today regarding academic and language support for ELL students.
In a moment, you will have the opportunity to log in and explore the resources available to teachers on the ELL Net School page.
Thank you to the many Northwest ISD elementary, middle, and high school teachers that allowed us to capture authentic classroom examples to share in this presentation.